pushed to try and find our style and the way we wanted to do things. Part of the presentation. The nice thing about this is I had a chance to create 8 different films, so it was like a broad array, and the idea was to show browsing from a different perspective. So every single film had an in-camera illusion or some kind of perspective trick to show the communication. And having to create 8 of those really helped me sort of get really into depth with this and think of many of them. And I came up with so many more that were needed for the actual project that I felt, wow, maybe this is my style. Maybe doing these perspective tricks and thinking about how our eyes interact with depth is a big part of the way that I should work. And so I started doing that. Even after this project, other pitches came in, and I would look at a pitch and I'd say, okay, this is the way the perspective tricks could work. And people are saying, what are you talking about, perspective trick? Like, this project has nothing to do with perspective tricks. And over time, that became a big problem, and I thought, oh, no one wants my style, because I just decided on this style. So after a while, I fortunately heard an interview by a writer named David Means, and he said, style is a maneuver around what you can't do. And it took me a while to let that sink in, and finally it sort of made sense that what I was doing with this one thing that I liked is taking the path of least resistance, the thing that my brain really liked to do, and applying that to everything. And it was leaving out a whole world of other things that I should have been considering and working on because I thought that was my style. I wouldn't say I really know what my style is still, but what I do like is now forcing myself to go into uncharted territory a little bit more and just be fine with not having a style all the time. Problem number 7 is art versus commerce, and I think this is a problem that at some point we all definitely have. Jessica talked about it a little bit for sure. It should be like this, and they say, yeah, you're right, it should be like that. And then you get to turn it into an art form somehow. That challenge to me is actually incredibly invigorating and exciting if you can get it done. It also provides me the chance to work with a lot of artists. Been really lucky with that. Been working with Magda Sayegh, who's the mother of yarn bombing. Had a chance to meet Lucy McRae before this and work with her a little bit. Also working with Bob Partington, who is my co-director on this next Google project. Problem number 8 is comfort, and this is kind of a new problem and also it's kind of fictitious for me. this is more the question of what happens when the project seems too easy. And I've just been telling you about all these situations where problems are what help the project along. And I try and impose these problems and complications, and everyone's like, no, you're not doing that this time. And there's no money, so you can't do that. And that happens on a couple of projects. And the even more frustrating thing than that is if I don't get to impose those things because I think they're the right thing to do, and the project itself ends up being successful despite that I couldn't do that. So this next project avoided all of my attempts at bringing problems to it and still made its way. And now I like it today, but I was pretty frustrated with it at the time. Problem number 9, the last problem, is ambition, and it's the scariest problem, I think, which is why it's ambition and hubris. It's a little bit of a dangerous one. I think what I've been finding is a strange escalation. Every project seems like it needs to be teetering on the edge of failure, or else it's not worth doing. And on top of that, every project seems like it needs to be harder than the one before it, or I'm not growing. And that's sort of a bad recipe. With this next project, it started off at that point with the first little test that we did. So I'll show the test and then I'll talk a little bit more about what happened next. So there are a lot of things about that I really liked. I was really excited about the idea of paralleling magnetic attraction with human attraction and using that to communicate about Match.com. The biggest problem was that we did all this work to create this little test, and after watching it, figuring out, okay, we need to communicate about speed, and magnets aren't that fast. And that was a big problem. And so it was painful to let go of something that was working. It seemed to be working well in so many ways, but the core communication was not there. Moved on to another one where we were going to shatter a wine glass with sound, and I'm thinking, okay, sound is fast. But it actually takes a wine glass quite a long time to vibrate before it ends up shattering. So also underwhelming as a speed concept. So from there, we kept on trying more and more ideas, kept on escalating it. Every project started getting a little bit more difficult than the one before it, and I was promising to agency and client that everything was going to be in camera. Everything's going to be real, we're not going to fake anything. You guys are going to be on set and watch us. And it is, when applicable, when you can do it, make some problems, and I think everything should be fine, mostly. Thank you.